Today we are going to start our lesson about planned economic system. And planned economic system is that in which the basic economic questions like what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce, they are answered by the not by the market forces but by the government. The government is deciding what types of goods will be produced and how they will be produced and for whom they will be produced. So all the resource allocation that is totally planned, we say it is centralization of decisions. Centralization of the decisions. All right. The decisions are centralized. The central body, the government will be deciding what, how, and for whom to produce. Okay. Now this system, which is planned one, there is a one planning division of the government which is planning for the whole year. Like how many houses they are going to have in this year, how many televisions, how many weapons they are going to produce. Then it means like all types of goods, basic foods like basic shelter. What do we mean by the basic necessity? Food, shelter, and clothing. All they will be the responsibility of the government. It has to be provided to each and every individual of the society or the country that he should be provided basic food, shelter, and clothing. Our food is also supplied by the government, shelter is also provided by the government, and clothing is also provided. You will be thinking that how is it possible that government is supplying these things? Is the government body is supplying them at the doorstep of the people? No. It means when we say it is a planned system, it is the responsibility of the government to provide jobs or employment to everyone. When everyone is employee of the government or state, then what happens? He is the public sector employee. Government will provide him a house. If a person is a bureaucrat, he is an officer in the public sector, what happens? He will be assigned a big house by the government. If a person is doing a clerical job, he will be provided a smaller house. According to the rank, according to the authority of a person in the public sector, he will be provided shelter. I can give you one example. You might have seen the army houses in cantonment area. If a person is a major, a colonel, a brigadier, according to their rank, army is assigning them different types of houses. According to their ranks, army is providing them different types of benefits. All right, same is the case if we enlarge the same concept. Now government is, in all the departments, government is providing houses to the employees according to their qualification, according to their services to the public sector. On the other hand, what happens? How food is provided? Government is having the public sector shops in the market. If you go to the market right now, you are having private shops. Assume that now all these shops are also owned by the public sector and the person who is sitting in that shop is also a state employee. So if an employee is provided a shelter, he is paid the salary as well. Out of that salary, he wants to buy food and clothing. He will go to the government depots, government shops in order to buy food, in order to buy clothing. So subsidized food and clothing will be provided to them by the government. Everyone is the employee of the government. Or if a person is more educated, he can compete for higher posts in the public sector jobs. And if a person is less educated or physically stronger, then he can be employed in another department of the public sector like army or in any other physical work. So in that case, this is the responsibility of the government to provide food, shelter and clothing to everyone. Like roti, kapda, makan, that will be provided by the government, this is the slogan of our political party, Pakistan People's Party. They are actually having this type of political system in which they are going to have more planned economy, more socialized society. Okay, so this system is talking about centralization of decisions, and here all the basic necessities of life will be provided by the state. Jobs opportunities will be created by the government, and they will be provided to the people according to their qualification. Like a farmer is plowing his field in order to produce different types of crops. Government says you are no more the owner of this piece of land. This field is now owned by the state. You are just the employee. Government will supply you the fertilizer. Government will supply you the different types of things which are required to produce crops. But you will be paid the salary, not the profit of this, because it is going to be owned by the state and it will be distributed by the state itself, not by the farmers or not by the markets. Okay, now all the sectors, either they are primary sector, manufacturing or services sectors, they are all managed and having decisions, centralized decisions are made by the state. Now we can say there is going to be the public ownership. Public ownership. We don't find any type of private ownership of the resources and businesses. Although private people are also doing their business, but they are very at smaller scale. If any business is going to be enlarged, government can snatch it, because all the resources, they are owned by the state. There is public ownership. Government is the deciding body. They say if there are more income inequalities due to market system, there is a gap between rich and poor. That is the root cause of social unrest in the society. In order to eradicate this class system, what happens? The government has decided to take over all the economic activities in order to produce and distribute the goods accordingly in the society, rather to have more income inequalities. So for that purpose, they are having public ownership, not the private ownership. If any person is having more increase in his business size, private sector business is enlarging, government will snatch it and then it will be nationalized by hook and crook. So we say this is the public ownership. There is no private interest. No one is motivated to earn profit. Everyone is concerned about the salaries, whether they are paid or not. If they are unpaid, then they will have to be paid by the government. They have a strong confidence that government is taking care of their different types of sufferings. So we say there is a public ownership. There is no private, because private sector can create some type of injustices in the society, which is causing income inequalities. So we say the public ownership is there. What is the motivation? Motivation is that we should have the social welfare maximization. Social welfare maximization. It is not aiming to have the private welfare maximization or profit motivation is there, or there is no private ownership as a motivation. It is having social welfare maximization, that overall the welfare of society should be maximized. That is the main aim of this planned economic system. Actually, planned economic system was given by Karl Marx. Who gave it? Karl Marx. Karl Marx, he actually gave this system. And okay, he wrote a book, Marxism or Socialism or Communism. He wrote one of the book. So he gave this role of the government in the economic activities. He said, he studied the history of economic system. He said, history is a dialectical process of growing ideas. One idea grows and it prevails the whole society. Later on, the opponents of the same idea come up from the same society and then they prevail. He said, free market system that has prevailed. Now its opponents will be coming from the same system of free market or capitalism, and those opponents will be prevailing in the society. And he said the next era will be about socialism or planned economic system that will take place after the fall of or decline of the capitalism. He said in the next era we will be having this type of economic system where state will be deciding or society will be deciding in order to maximize the social welfare rather than the private welfare. Okay, what are the outcomes? Outcomes of the system are that it is having more equal distribution of income. It is claimed that they will have more equal distribution of income by having social welfare maximization. Everyone is assigned shelter, employment by the government, so we can have one class of people having the same level of living standard, and upper class will have another living standard which is also similar for everyone. Like public sector job, 17 scale officers will be having the same type of the lifestyle, and their living standard will remain same. And a lower scale employees will be having the same level of living standard. So they say according to different classes of the society, we will have not too much deviations among the people. Okay, it will have more harmony in the society and more tranquility to have no more income inequalities. But the question is that it is having more quantity targets. The firms are, or the managers of the public sector firms which are producing different types of goods, they are assigned different production targets, that this much of quantity needs to be produced in this fiscal year or in this financial year. So in that case, they are focusing on the targets, they are focusing on the quantity, but quality of the products, that is ignored. There is no competition in the market. Everything is state owned. If cars are produced, they are also produced by the state and no competitor is there. Then the quality of that car will be very, very poor because they have focused only on the quantity of cars, not on the quality. Poor quality goods are produced when we are targeting the production levels. And at the same time, they are having different types of productivity incentives, like bonuses are paid to the employees when they have achieved the targets. And different types of promotions are also given to the managers whenever they are able to achieve their targets. The thing is that in which direction the state is employing the factors of production or the resources of an economy. These types of planned systems, they are producing more of the weapons. Like we say, there was one of the world superpower, it was named at USSR. You might be knowing this name, United Soviet Socialist Republic. Nowadays we are naming it as Russian Federation. Now it is broken state. USSR, that was one of the super world power in the world before 1992. It was collapsed in 1992. Why was it collapsed? The reason is their planning faults. When they are planning the goods, they were planning more weapons to be produced in order to capture Afghanistan. They were having a war started in 1979 and they wanted to win that in order to capture that country, and they had captured so many states in Central Asia, Muslim states. They had captured Bosnia and Chechnya. There were so many Muslim states which were captured by USSR by producing weapons, and they were converted into non-Muslim states. Like atheism was also created. They were saying there is no God, and they are having secular religion as well. They are having no religion even. So USSR was producing more weapons. They were having more of the atomic bombs, nuclear weapons they were having, but they were unable to capture the territory of Afghanistan due to another superpower was also fighting against them with the help of our own country, our own agencies. So what happens? They were focusing to produce more weapons rather than food, rather than shelter. Threshers were not produced. During the harvesting season, harvesters were not available to the farmers. Even the crops were produced, but they were destroyed because of non-availability of threshers and harvesters. Even the fertilizers were not available. So what happened in that country in 1992? The last president of USSR was Gorbachev, and the whole USSR was collapsed. It was broken into many countries because of the planning faults. Food was not available. When people were trying to get food, there was a long queue to stand in to get food. There was a long queue to get clothing. And it has emerged another class system which is called bureaucrats. Bureaucracy was emerged, another class system. Free market economy was having two classes, rich and poor. Okay, entrepreneur and working class. Okay, but planned system is having rich people, poor people, and bureaucrats, which are the state employees. They are the officials of the state. They are having more income, and state was quite stronger, and people were having very, very poor living standard. So because of the planning faults, when they were producing weapons, not food, shelter, and clothing, people were starving for food. They were not having food to survive. So that system was not broken by a war, but that was broken by its internal planning faults. Starvation has broken this planned economic system. It started its power after the First World War in 1918. It started in Russia. Stalin and Lenin, they started this economic system to be implemented, which was designed by Karl Marx. Karl Marx was not a politician. He had written this system, but it was taken by Stalin and Lenin in order to implement it in Russia in 1918 after the First World War. And it was collapsed in 1992. After the 70 years, it is a human-made economic system. It was unnatural. The state will decide everything. So it took the life of one human being, around about 70 years to be collapsed. Okay, so planning is the main fault. Public goods, they were provided more in this system, but private goods are no more there. Because of no competition, there was lack of investment. And that was also having no international trade. It was not exporting, it was not allowing any other country to trade with Russian states, because they did not allow the foreign goods to enter. Otherwise, their own goods will not be sold as they are already poor quality. And when they are not allowing other countries to trade with their country, so other countries are also disallowing them to buy the goods from USSR. So that was only a landlocked country which was not having any external trade. It was having fixed exchange rate. And due to no trade, due to many other problems, it collapsed. And it was having more of income inequalities, which was their claim that they would be able to reduce the income inequalities. But actually, they were unable to reduce. They were able to have more stronger income inequalities in the form of state and in the form of poor people. State was quite stronger than anybody else in the society. State was very, very strong. So in that case, if you see Leningrad, Stalingrad, these are the palaces. They were constructed by the USSR in order to show a marvelous lifestyle of the rulers. But the people were living a very poor quality life in a poor or damaged houses or with no houses, and poor quality food was there. Jobs were not created in that system because of no investment. So the whole system was having a collapse, a closure. So that was about the planned economic system. In our next class, I will be asking you to write the mixed economic system by yourselves. And then we will be concluding this chapter as well by doing PPC in detail. Then the rest of the chapter will be concluded. I hope so. You will be able to understand the things very easily. Generally, I have conveyed you many things. You can go through your books or any reading material. So then we will be doing the next, in our next class, the rest of the things will be done. Thank you.